Hello horror hounds, welcome to my horror house. It's Freddy's Nightmares time again, so I've got a bottle of beer. Alcohol is sometimes a requisite watching some of these episodes. Some are slightly painful to get through, so let's see how we fare with Season 2, Episode 15, Prime Cut.
I bid you welcome.
I welcome you to my house.
Welcome to my house.
Welcome to my home.
Okay, so we have a fun episode once again, as seems to be a refrain in an awful lot of the latter episodes for Season 2. Not really sure how this fits into a Nightmare on Elm Street milieu, but at least it wasn't an actual drag to watch. We start out with three friends, three corporate buddies on a hunting trip together, waiting to meet their guide. Their guide, Tracker, turns up and she is a woman. Dun, dun, dun. Not only that, she's an attractive woman. Dun, dun, dun. So we get a sort of, this entire episode is played for laughs, and we get one of them saying, oh yeah, you know, play it cool, treat them mean to keep them keen, I'm gonna have my way with her. Another one's a nice guy, and the guy that we basically follow, what's his name gonna be? Jake? No, Johnny? It doesn't matter. Starts to notice some strange things about her when he gets out the wooden tent pegs, the tent stakes. She's afraid of them. That night he hears bats fluttering around. One of his buddies gets a cut and she sucks the blood out of it. Could it possibly be that she's a vampire? Is Freddy's Nightmares going to acknowledge the existence of vampires in the Nightmare on Elm Street universe? No, not really. But for the A story, the first half of the episode is played out like something is going wrong, and our guy is becoming increasingly paranoid that Tracker, their guide, is a vampire. There are dream sequences in it because this is a Freddy's Nightmares TV series, so they get to play out some of the vampire paranoia, vampire fun there, and each time we see her doing something vampire-y, then he wakes up and says, "Ooh, gotcha! It was a dream," like this program does a lot. So for about 20 minutes, they're really selling this vampire thing, and I'm thinking, well, okay, they're giving us a vampire story. This has got absolutely nothing to do with Freddy, but that's fine. There's quite a neat little switcheroo at the very end of it, as he wakes up for the final time back to their real situation. We find out that all of what has occurred there has been a delusion, but he's in no less trouble. All three of them were on an executive trip together with Tracker, who was their pilot in that light aircraft, and they have crashed into a ravine outside Springwood that they can't get out of. His two buddies died in the crash, so all of these dreams and hallucinations of her being a vampire and feeding on them and trying to get her to join him and live this vampiric life together and trying to get her to drink the blood of her buddies has actually sort of been a fever dream hallucination of their real life situation, where they have had to resort to the cannibalism of these two guys to survive. So the B story picks up with the same characters in the same scenario, only now in the real world, where they're still crashed, they're still eating their buddies, and they're hoping for rescue. This second half is played even more for laughs. If you've ever seen the movie Alive, about is it the Argentinian football team that crash on a mountain? And have to cannibalize some of the people who died in the crash. You might question the judgment of playing that scenario for laughs, but that's what we're down to here. This guy Johnny's fiancée Mary Beth, who is nothing if not belligerent, has even when the official search has been called off. She goes out and hires her own tracker to search, not out of any benevolent reason, but she doesn't want the courts to have to wait 7 years to declare her husband dead so she can claim on the insurance. She wants to go and find his body. What she actually finds is her husband and the pilot, who are now having a full-on affair, trapped in the ravine. She becomes trapped in the ravine as well. There's an escaped murderer called Butcher Moran who's around and about, and it just sort of plays out. There's really nothing. I mean, God, I could tell you what happens. It's the fiance falls in, so they start bickering about who's going to eat who, and he has to choose between the two women, not which one he wants to be with, but which one he wants to eat. And then he says, "Oh, well, I don't want to choose between either of you. We need someone else." And Butcher Moran at that point falls into the ravine, and so they eat him. And the police with the bloodhounds that are on the mountainside, who are trying to find the escaped Butcher Moran, come across these guys and rescue them. And it looks at the end like they're going to eat one of the mountain rescue guys, because apparently once you've tasted human flesh, you become a comedy cannibal. It's a very throwaway episode, but at least it was watchable, because some of these have been absolutely painful. I'm intrigued by the next couple of episodes when I finally get round to them, because the next one is called Interior Loft and the one after that is called Interior Loft Later. So the titles of these episodes reading like stage directions. I'm just assuming that they're two completely separate episodes set in the same place, which would be a good idea to save on production costs, which I imagine what that's all about. There's only going to be one way to find out, and that's for me to eventually watch those episodes, which I will inevitably do. And then once we've got Freddy's Nightmares out of the way, I'm going to move on to a horror TV series that will probably be a lot more